Hey, you're listening to Words About Books. I'm Nate. I'm joined by co-host Ben, and today we are discussing The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, a sequel to The Poppy War, which we discussed last year. I don't know why it took so long for us to finally get around to reading this one, but here we are.
Well, it took us a long time to read the sequel. I actually bought the sequel as soon as it came out. I got a signed copy at Barnes & Noble.
Oh my god.
So R.F. Kuang's hand has touched at least that one page of this book.
But you didn't.
That's how they do it.
You didn't actually meet her for the signing.
No, I didn't attend the
didn't
book
count.
signing. I just got
count.
one of those ones. So, but it took us so long to do it on the podcast because I think we weren't really sure how to handle sequels, because I imagine that there were a lot of people who listened to the Poppy War who did not read the Poppy War.
Oh my god.
And so we were wondering,
I can't believe someone would listen to our podcast and then also not read the book.
So we were wondering, how do we discuss a sequel? Is it going to just build off of our previous discussion? Do we need to go back and give a summary of the first one? But I think we've sort of established a model here with Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire. those episodes did okay. So I suspect these will probably do okay. I suspect the people who are going to get the most out of this episode are people who have read The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic. But if you haven't, you're welcome to stay and enjoy the show. Though I would recommend it, because these are fairly
good books.
They're good books, and they're fairly nuanced. Nuanced is not the word I'm looking for. There's a lot going on, I guess.
There's a lot going on.
Is the best way to put it. There's a lot of themes here, and the book really needs to speak for itself. Because I know you're going to do the about the author, but to maybe lead into that, R.F. Kuang is writing, at least these books are grimdark fantasy inspired by Chinese history and Chinese mythology. And she is not only Chinese herself, but also an academic expert in Chinese study and Asian languages. And I think any attempt on our part to discuss it, if you're only getting it through our lens, you're probably missing a good chunk of it, because I think she really needs to speak for herself on this one. But like I said, you're welcome to enjoy the conversation.
All right. And now I wanted to do a quick update from about the author, right? So I think last time when we discussed this, she was finishing up her master's degree, and that's what I had over her. And now she has finished her master's degree, but I have finished a postmaster's program, so I still got one over her.
What do you mean program?
As in, I went to school for another 2 years to gain more specialized knowledge.
But you didn't get your MD, right?
Yeah, but she hasn't gotten her PhD either.
Well, I mean, I've gotten certificates myself.
Yeah, how long did it take you to get the certificate?
I mean, it's kind of a self-study. You just take the test whenever you want.
The self-study, yeah. You didn't have to, do an accreditation or anything like that. Okay. Hey!
I'm just saying, I don't think How many books did you write while you were doing that?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Ben, because also, I published my first book first, so, it's a race, and we won. Don't
published
read
her
Universe. Just know that it was published in 2015, and it doesn't matter if you're good. It just matters if you're first, and we were first, so we win.
But she was first to her second book, and third book, and fourth book.
Yeah, we don't count those. Those don't count.
And
it's just
I
the first
understand
book
there's a
that
fifth
matters.
book.
It's just the first book that matters. All her second, third, and fourth book, they all came out after our first book. So still losing the race because we called time. We crossed the finish line, and then we called time. It's not our fault that she kept going. So victory's ours. Better luck next time. Hopefully we will cover the Burning God next year before she finishes her doctorate. And then I don't ever have to update, and I can continue to win forever. All right.
No, in all seriousness, though, like, I know she has won a bunch of awards, and I know the Poppy War is on a bunch of must-read lists. And still, even having said that, I feel like R.F. Kuang is underrated. I just don't know too many people who are writing as prolifically as she is, at the quality that she is, while also having a whole separate career. I mean, Joe Abercrombie is probably the other like big grim dark guy I could think of off the top of my head. And he's a machine. I mean, he does maintain the quality, but he's not racking up degrees right and left, I don't think.
No, I like R.F. Kuang a lot. I like her books. I actually prefer this one over the prequel. And I'm glad you mentioned Heir to the Empire, because I recently had to re-listen to that, Ben. And I remember, here, hold on, let me pull this out again. All right, so I remember I gave you about 3 minutes to quickly summarize the first Star Wars book. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to summarize the Poppy War. Go!
Okay, there is a girl from a rural village in the country of Nicara, which is an analog for China. She is a war orphan who has a family who doesn't like her very much, and they are opium smugglers, and if she does not do something quickly, she is going to be forced to marry some much older man that she has no interest in. So she gets herself a tutor and takes the countrywide Keiju exam to get into a very prestigious school on a full scholarship. She tortures herself to study for that exam. She gets in. She learns with some of the best, fanciest, noblest people in the country. She learns strategy, military stuff, all that junk. And then she also runs into this mysterious professor who teaches her how to be a shaman. And she develops weird fire
1
powers.
minute down, 2 to go.
But then the war with the Empire, the Muganese, the Japanese analog, kicks off. The Japanese Muganese invade, and Rin has to fight, and she reveals her shaman powers, but it's illegal to be a shaman, so she winds up joining this secret elite military unit of all shaman that nobody's supposed to know about, because again, it's illegal to be a shaman. One of the guys is also a fire guy, and he's very abusive with her, and it's a whole big thing. They hold this town that is Shanghai. For a while, it was a trick. The whole country got destroyed while they were holding this town. She goes, she sees another city that's an analog for Nanjing, and it's all the horrible stuff that happened in Nanjing in World War II, and that really makes her mad. But then she gets captured, and she gets put in some weird Joseph Mengele Nazi lab, and she escapes out of that. She
1 minute
and
left.
another fire guy, and the other fire guy, while they're escaping, blows himself up to get her away, and then she swims all the way across the ocean to the ancient homeland of her people, where there is a temple to this weird god, the Phoenix, and she sits in the temple, and she does a little ritual, and she turns herself into a nuclear bomb, and she opens a giant volcano on the island of Mugen, and does a little bit of genocide. And then she struggles to live with that, and the book ends with her addicted to opium, and everyone hates her, but no one hates her more than she hates herself.
Nice. You had 15 seconds left to spare, too. Yeah.
I'm just that good.
That leads us to where we are. I think this book is several months later. I can't remember exactly how many.
Yeah, it's not very much longer. They're still on that ship they're on at the end of the first book.
Yeah, and they're doing odd jobs for a pirate warlord, killing a bunch of dudes for her in exchange for equipment and weapons that never actually come.
Yeah, and an army that's just going to materialize. Her whole plan is, I did forget to mention in my summary, that the Empress of Nikara, the Chinese analog, invited in the Muganese and sort of sold the country out, and specifically sold Rin and her old boss out. And so Rin wants nothing more. Rin is the main character, by the way. Rin wants nothing more than to
We're doing great.
assassinate the Empress. So that's what she's trying to do. She doesn't have a plan to win the war or anything. She's just on a suicidal mission to kill the Empress, and then question mark, maybe suicide.
That's probably just take a bunch of opium and go to sleep forever. That's her plan. So yeah, that's where we open. She's working for a pirate warlord, Moag.
I said Moag or Moag. Yeah,
Yeah.
Moag is probably my American bastardization. Moag. There's going to be a lot of that, by the way. I did try to look up pronunciations. I'm doing my best. But
So what's the deal with this town? I know it's not a really important town because they never go back, but it's like half destroyed? Question mark?
the town, as I understood it, was a combination of some like desert island or rock in the middle of the ocean that has been augmented with a bunch of ships tied together and anchored.
No, we're
So
talking
it's
about
kind
the
of-
wrong. We're talking about different towns. You're talking about like
I'm talking about Moag's Pirate
Moag's.
City.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Yeah.
the town where they go to kill the governor for Moag. It's like half destroyed by the Muganese during the war.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. Do you know what was going on there? I
What do you mean? They
why was
destroyed
it half destroyed?
Probably because they fought, destroyed half of it, and then somebody surrendered.
Doesn't sound like the Muganese. Surrender?
Well, I mean, why would they destroy the town
Because
more than they had to? They want the towns.
I mean, I read the last book. They did a lot of things they didn't have to do.
Yeah, but the Muganese were looking to colonize Nikara. They would probably want as much of the infrastructure intact as possible.
I mean, maybe.
This is a weird point to get held up on.
Yeah, I know.
For all the
I
stuff
know.
that happens in this book.
Yeah, we'll move on. So they go to kill a governor for Moag. This is the last guy on the list, and the Empress happens to be there, and it causes Rin to lose control, and she almost burns her ally to death. Who was this guy? I don't remember this guy from the first book. He was like a fox shapeshifter or something. I don't even remember him.
I don't remember him either.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember most of the psych.
I
and
remembered
most of their powers.
I remember Chagan and his sister, who has
remember-
bird
yeah.
powers. I remember the explosive expert. I remember the guy with the rake, and I remember the guy who's like a bear, and the pharmacist. They had like a drug pharmacist.
I remembered Chagan and his sister, Kara. I remembered the big guy, the Monkey King guy, and that was it. I mean, I remember Alton, though.
I wish I could forget.
I think that's the theme of the book, is we all wish we could forget Alton.
Alton is kind of garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing to talk about. So I glanced over it in that super quick 1 minute summary, but Alton was from the same nation as Rin. Though Rin didn't know she was from that nation, as she was a war
Spearly.
orphan raised somewhere
let's
else.
call it
Yeah.
what it's called, so we can
Okay.
remember them properly.
So Rin is a Spearly. Alton was a Spearly. The Spearleys worshipped a god called the Phoenix that imbued them with Phoenix fire power. But the Phoenix wants to consume everything in flames, and the Spearleys are notoriously bad at managing their godly powers, so they were mostly all addicted to opium, because opium will just shut the god down in its tracks. So whenever they weren't fighting, they would just smoke opium. And that's what Rin is taken to doing. Alton was also falling into that trap, and he was treating everybody like shit. Can we talk about one quick thing before we go any further in the story? Because
Sure.
this is never really clarified to me.
All right, I've got your back.
Everybody keeps talking about the inhuman control Alton had over his powers.
Yeah, they do. They also all talk about him as if he were a great commander and not like a humongous fuck up like he was the entire Poppy War book.
Yeah, I was sitting there trying to think back. I guess when it comes to using the fire, he had more control over the actual flames. Like, Rin can't even distinguish friend from foe. That's how she winds up burning this guy.
This guy who we don't remember and never comes up again.
In general, I did not remember Alton and associate him with a great degree of control.
I didn't associate him with control or like good leadership or charisma.
No, he was
an asshole to everyone, and everyone disliked him, except afterwards they loved him for some reason. He was a piece of shit.
He starts the book as a functioning addict, and the entire book is just him slowly losing the ability to function in his addiction and eventually succumbing to it entirely and burning himself to death. Seemed like a pretty clear metaphor for addiction. He treated everyone terribly. And now, Rin, I understand, she had suffered abuse her entire life, and she has very skewed notions of what, like, love and respect and even a sense of belonging means. So I understand why Rin's thoughts about Alton are confused, and Chagan, I think you and I both agree now, was probably in love with Alton.
Yes, for sure. You called it last time, and for sure it's like all but confirmed here.
Yeah. So I suspect that's why Chagan is so upset that Alton died. And
he blames Rin, and he wanted to try to bring Alton back from the other side, and it's like, just let him die. Alton sucked. I'm with Neja on this one. Alton was a piece of shit. He treated everyone around him like shit, and he was a horrible commander. The world is better off with him dead.
Well, and I think Kuang knows that.
Yeah.
Because that is the conclusion. I mean, spoilers, that is something Rin eventually works her way around to seeing. But
the thing is, Rin already killed him in a vision. And then she can't kill him in a vision in this book.
I don't know. I feel like there's some weird transitions, because in a lot of ways, Rin does the same arc from the first book over again in this book.
Yeah, this is, she got depowered Metroid style, and she had to gain her powers again. And her skills. Like, she had to practice swordsmanship as well as getting her powers back. So
yeah, so that stuff is a little bit sequelitis-y to me. I don't like doing the same thing beat for beat, but it was mitigated somewhat by the fact that it's not like Rin did have a complete arc in the first book.
What are you talking about? She started out abused, she got angry, she got angrier, got abused again, got even angrier, and then she blew up an island. That's a complete arc.
Yeah. I mean,
done.
Yeah, she never really healed herself or learned what it meant to
Rin
deal with her
definitely
abuse. Or
Rin definitely was not a leader at the end of that book, and
No.
she doesn't become a leader in this book until near the end.
no, the Poppy War is, in a lot of ways, I'm going to say I think this does what grimdark fiction so often tries and so often fails to do, which is properly illustrate the violent chaos and harsh consequences of the real world. Because you're tempted to criticize the book for saying, well, why did they put Rin in charge? It doesn't make any sense. Of course she'd be a terrible leader. But then she is a terrible leader.
She was a terrible leader.
Yeah,
Alton
and it
was like,
does...
Alton was like, Rin is in charge now. It's like, well, Chagin's like right there, man. He was gonna be in charge before you came along. I don't know.
And Rin screws things up irreparably.
Left and right and center.
I mean, there's no way she can fix this. She's just going to have to live with having completely failed.
Look, we both read the entire book, and if you're here listening to this, we're spoiling the whole book. We're not just covering part 1. We'll allude to other parts. So Rin gets control of the Psych. That's what they're called, right? The Psych, yeah. the Shaman division that Alton left her. And I think literally all of them, except for one of them, is dead or abandoned the cause. And that one person was actually a traitor to the Psych. So, yeah, her whole division gets wiped. And it's mostly her fault.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we should maybe get back to the summary a little bit. So she's
Queen.
She's killing a list of the Pirate Queen's enemies, which is a complicated moral situation because the reason the Pirate Queen wants these people dead is that they're stopping her from smuggling opium into the country.
Well,
and
here's
opium.
The thing. It's not a complicated moral situation, okay? Pirate Queen has weapons. Rin wants weapons. Moral complication over. I'm killing these people. This governor that she kills seems like a legitimately good dude trying to do the best for his people, but f him, he's dead now. Because he doesn't have weapons that he'll give to me.
But Rin totally blows her cover. The Empress is there. She tries to go for the assassination right then and there.
She instead accidentally burns her own teammate, who kept yelling, "Friendly fire! Friendly fire!"
He did keep doing something like that. It wasn't quite that comedic, but it wasn't much less comedic.
Supposedly he lives. Supposedly. I don't think we're ever going to see him again.
He does not live well.
Yeah, I think they said half his body is charred. Yeah.
Yep. But
the rest of the Psych are like, hey, we've all been in an area where we've not had control of our powers before. You'll figure it out, because we still want to kill the Empress, because we love Alton. I guess that the Monkey King guy, I can see why he liked Alton, because Alton kept talking him down from being possessed by his god, and that actually doesn't come up in this book at all.
No, he's got a pretty good hold on it now.
He's got a pretty good hold on it now, yeah.
Well, and the other thing we've kind of just failed to mention is that Rin is...
Look, these are big, dense fucking books, okay? We're going to fail to mention a lot of things.
Well, no, but this is important.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Rin is, collapsing in the throes of opioid withdrawal from the very start of the mission. She's vomiting, shaking, barely able to stand. This is how she's leading the mission.
Yeah. And everyone's like, maybe you shouldn't be here. And she's like, no, I'm going to be here. And Chagin's like, okay, how about you, go over there and,
Tell you what, Rin, just stand over there and do your best not to burn any of our team alive.
Yeah, can you do that?
That is your one job, okay?
I'm trusting you with this key mission.
And she does not manage that.
She does not.
But they do successfully assassinate the guy, and they do go back to Moag.
Despite Rin's best efforts, yes.
Yes. But now Rin has screwed everything up, because now the Empress is looking for her. The bounty on Rin has tripled. It's basically irresistible now. And this is going to jeopardize Rin's relationship with the Pirate Queen.
I
Because
think
she
Moag
is,
was going to screw them over to begin with anyway. I think that once she did all these assassinations, she was done.
I
But
don't
yeah,
think she was. I don't think she was going to screw her over, but I don't think she was ever going to give her what she wanted.
yes,
There was just always going to be one more thing.
right. Rin meets with her and is like, "Hey, you owe me those weapons. We had a deal." And she's like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." But hey, listen. I've got another job for you. I swear, you just kill this one traitor, and I'll give you your weapons this time. Like, no big deal. So, he's coming in on this ship. You just go out there, you meet him, you kill him. We're all good. I swear, I'm definitely gonna give your weapons to you this time. I'm a pirate queen, not a monster. Also, I'm holding your friend Kite hostage. He's doing my taxes.
Yeah, I did. That did make me laugh. Kuang has a bizarre sense of humor that pervades the books.
Oh yeah, Kite was great. He eventually drinks urine. It was great. I needed that.
You know, I think Rin is a little over the top sometimes. I know you're not supposed to like Rin that much. She's obviously an anti-hero, and I don't like Rin.
Well, here's the thing with
sympathize with Rin.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say
don't like her.
Rin is an angsty teenager with the power to kill millions of people.
Rin is more than that.
Okay, but hold on. But the people around her are like garbage people. They're like so much worse, I feel like. I hate I want her to get her revenge. You go get him, Rin. Turn on your firepower. Go burn that guy. That guy was an asshole.
I'm burning to death!
Yeah, the problem is, so Rin is dealing in high politics, and yes, anyone who winds up in a position of political power is some kind of asshole.
Right, which is why we should just, if you ever become a CEO of a company, we just put you in jail for 2 years because we know you're doing something.
Yeah, you did something to get there.
Yeah.
So it's the problem I have with Rin is champion of the people Rin, which is where this book so desperately wants to go, and that's been pretty transparent from the start. Like, you know, you have Kuang saying this is Mao Zedong if he was a dark-skinned girl who got picked on by his classmates.
Yeah, I never got the Mao part because, like, Mao wasn't, like, he had ideas and, like, he had charisma. He could get people behind him. He had a way to start a revolution, and, like, for the longest time, Rin feels like just an angry girl who wants to burn shitheads.
Yeah, I mean, I am not going to claim to know anything about Chinese history that Kuang doesn't know, but my understanding of Mao was always that he was kind of a political philosopher. Like, he had very clear political ambitions, and that's why he took to Marxism and he did the workers' revolution, because that was an idea he picked up. I mean, he worked in a library, right? He and Rin are very different origin stories, I think. Rin is academically gifted, but Rin is the human embodiment of a raw nerve.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems with Rin is her level of maturity. It would work better if she had, like, 5 years on her.
I don't even know that it's maturity. I think it's
it's maturity for sure.
People continually comment to her that she has absolutely no impulse control, and that it goes beyond
true.
maturity. Nate, when I was 6 years old, I wouldn't have popped off at the mouth the way Rin does. I mean, it's...
What about when you were 16?
No. Honestly, no. It's not a maturity thing. There is something
Okay,
like
what about
insane
what
about
about
her.
if you were 16 and also you could light people on fire with your mind?
Maybe, but can this is I don't know if it's a criticism I have of the book. It's a personal complaint I have of
It
the
was
book.
something that bothered me because I was like, "Oh God, please, can you take a deep breath? Can you meditate?"
So here's my thing. Here's my thing.
She did meditate. Wait a minute. She spent her whole
Right.
first part of book 1 meditating and never does it
Right.
again. Anyway, sorry. What's your thing?
I enjoy the series so much, but in the probably at least 800 to 1,000 pages I've read so far, I want to say Rin has been able to burn people to death for maybe 150, 200 of them. She actually doesn't have a lot of power 95% of the time.
Yeah.
So
but
you could
also,
say, like, yeah, if I were 16 and I could just violently deal with anyone who crossed my path, maybe I'd have been more of a bully. But she can't. She just runs her mouth and gets smacked in the mouth every time.
Yeah, she does do that a lot. Like in war councils with
She gets
a lot of
backhanded in the face constantly. I'm not making that up.
I know.
It happens constantly. And everybody tells her, like, I want to be your friend, but you're just an asshole. All the time. Because she refuses to control her temper. To the point where it is difficult to...
Maybe she should have prayed to like the water god or something. I still don't know if that's a thing she could do, being a Spearly. Like, could she go for the opposite of the Phoenix to help calm her? I guess she did that with in the first book.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what she could do. I'm beginning to wonder how interested in developing... I'm a lot of my thoughts on this, a lot of my potential criticisms, I can't really give until I read The Burning God because I need to know how it turns out.
Right.
Because there are authors, I would say, who would handle a character like Rin, and I would say, like, oh, look how edgelordy you are. Good for you. This is so grimdark. Everybody's so angry and mean all the time. But I get the vibe from the way it is handled and from the way the world responds to Rin that Kuang understands this
Right.
and is going somewhere.
It's not a good thing. And I feel like that she's got some development in the third book? Question mark? And
Well, and,
we'll
and
see.
so that's why I said if I sum up Kuang's writing, at least of the Poppy War, in one word, it is raw. Rin is just a raw nerve. Anything that touches her sets her off. It's either abuse, pain, anger, rage. She has very few positive emotions, and the positive emotions she has just kind of exist to open her up to more pain. And so Rin is just misery and rage. But so understandably, the pirate lady has betrayed her. And when Rin goes looking for this guy, she finds something else.
Yeah. She finds a ship that can outmaneuver her ship, even though she's got Water Guy, who I just remembered is a shaman that works for them. And
You forgot about Aratsha?
yeah, that guy who he lives in a bucket of water, almost does nothing, and then he dies, spoiler alert. Yeah, I forgot about that guy. Apparently you can aerosolize opium, because they shoot aerosolized opium onto Rin's ship to pacify all of the psych.
Yeah.
They also don't have anyone above the on the deck, because all of the rowing and stuff is done below deck with like a giant water wheel.
Yeah.
So this is a new kind of ship. They've never seen before, and they do get disabled by aerosolized opium, and I guess it's lucky for them that, like, Rin couldn't just nuke them. And wouldn't you know, the people who have disabled the psych are led by Neja. Wouldn't you know that, Ben? Isn't that interesting?
Rin's on-again, off-again crush.
/ rival. They started out as enemies, they became friends, and then Neja got stabbed through the abdomen and spine, and then also caught in a mustard gas attack, but somehow he looks no worse for wear, except half of his face is kind of fucked up. He's got a fucked up face that he has to hide. It's kind of gross, but you know what? It could be worse. He could be crippled for life and also dead.
Yes, that's true.
So
I'm with you so far.
So yeah, it turns out that this attack was a setup by Moog, who sold them over to the Dragon Warlord. It should be. I guess we should mention real quick. If you didn't read the Poppy War or listen to the Poppy War, God, you are going to be so lost. I'm so sorry. The Empress rules the land of Nikara, but she does so through a bunch of powerful warlords, and the most powerful of them all happens to be Neja's father, Yin. Is it Viceroy? That's how I read it.
I said Viceroy, yeah.
Yeah, so Viceroy is a stone-cold motherfucker. He's got a big army, a gigantic navy. He knows exactly how to smooth talk Rin, like, hey, Rin, we want the same thing. We both want to kill the Empress. She's a bad ruler. We've got to help the people out. And he wants to overthrow the Empire and establish a good old republic. A dragon republic, some might say. And he seems like a really cool dude, really nice guy. I'm sure he'll continue to be a cool, nice dude the entire book. What do you think, Ben? You think this guy's on the level? Can we trust him?
I mean, well, it was a red flag for me when he was like, "Don't worry, Rin, I'll help you kick the opium." And Rin was like, "I can't do it." And he was like, "No, I'm ordering you to do it."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But I can't."
Order it.
She's like, "But I can't." And then he backhands her across the face and said, "I don't think you understand what I meant by order." And then I was like, And
then Rin was like, "I'll do it because I need your approval. Because I need to be useful for you, Viceroy Daddy."
I wasn't going to say it, but I was thinking it.
And how does Rin kick the opium habit, Ben?
Cold turkey.
Cold fucking turkey.
The only way one can.
You're locking yourself in that room and try not to swallow your own tongue. Good luck.
Buckle up, because 3 out of 5 don't survive it.
Oh, and they also grab Kite. I guess I should mention that. They go and they burn down his accounting hovel.
So I do want to take like the contrast between Rin and Kite's tempers, because Kite is like mad at everybody.
You can tell Kite is quite pissed off the entire time, and Rin later is like, "How did I not see it?" And I'm like, "'Cause you're a fucking rage monster and you don't notice anyone else's emotions. Of course he's pissed."
You're arguably like one of the most selfish people in the book. I mean, it's Kite. If you want to know what I would be like as an angsty teen, if I were super pissed off and like had a grudge against the world, it would be Kite.
I hope he survives. I hope he survives. I want him to have a good life. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying about Kite? He has a photographic memory, Ben. We need to mention that because it comes up so fucking often on this podcast.
So, my thing with Kite is his rage strikes me as angsty and believable, but he's capable of like some degree of restraint, even though he does pop off at the mouth too. He can sort of read a room and sense the absolute limit. He's just very aware of what he's worth, and he's willing to push people as far as they can be pushed. because he knows they need him.
Yeah, he's not going to Visera and telling him to fight him. I guess she didn't go to Visera. He went to Visera's son, who will come up later.
Rin and Kite are interesting juxtapositions because Kite is like a moralist and Rin isn't.
Kite also doesn't really want to kill the Empress right now because, like...
He doesn't believe that she's betrayed them.
He doesn't believe that she betrayed them because, A, that doesn't make any sense to him, and B, even if she had betrayed them, she just betrayed Alton, and Alton was a piece of shit, as we discussed, and he basically just tells Rin, like, I don't give a f*** if she betrayed your stupid, idiot commander. That guy was a jackass. I love you, Kite. Never change. Actually, please change. Get better.
Kite makes some questionable choices in this book.
So, are you done talking about Kite and how Alton is also a piece of shit to Kite?
Yeah,
like Kite.
I feel like
him.
we're gonna keep going back to Alton because that's what the book does.
Yeah, the book keeps going back to him.
So whenever you mention a character, it does trigger memories of like those interactions where they inevitably argue about Alton and get over him.
Can I put it in here real quick? How I mentioned that she killed Alton in the first book in like a trance or whatever, and I was arguing that they probably should have just cut that whole chapter because they fight a monster. The monster no monsters show up again in that book, and they don't show up in this book. And the chapter just feels even more out of place.
This will be something we have to resolve in the Burning God. Right now, after reading the Dragon Republic and reading the Poppy War, it's difficult because I like these books and I like Kuang. And I think using the fantasy medium to tell this sort of story is really a breath of fresh air. This is an excellent use of the grimdark genre. So I don't want it to sound like I'm saying I think she's wrong for doing this. But it seems to me that she has a few particular moments in Chinese history that she wants to show in this fantasy setting. And the fantasy setting is constructed for the purpose of that historical metaphor. But it also seems like she has a lot of ideas for how the fantasy setting would work. So when it comes to the lore, and I hate to use these words, but the magic system, I don't think we're ever going to get a lot of satisfying answers about that because I don't think that's her priority. I don't necessarily want her to, because the Poppy War does its job of making these historical allegories interesting enough that you want to know more, and setting it in a fantasy world allows her to explore the emotions better. Like, I'm glad this wasn't just a straight up historical fiction. I think setting it in a fantasy world allows you to see some of these, not the events, but the emotional beats of history through her voice or through her lens. And that's good. But yeah, I don't know if she had decided how much of the book was going to be political allegory and how much of the book was going to be like lore building, fantasy world stuff when she started writing. And I think that balance was definitely still undecided in Poppy War. And I think that was why Poppy War, though, if I didn't give it 5 stars, I should have. Dragon Republic is the better book, because Dragon Republic has decided, like, this is a historical allegory, political philosophy kind of book in a fantasy world. And the fantasy world is going to kind of take the back seat. There's as much of it as needs to be there, but I do agree with you. That's a long way of saying I too think the monster scene should probably have been cut, because I am more
That's
confident.
what we're getting at.
Yeah, I am more confident than ever that it's not going anywhere.
Yes, I think it was just something that, to be fair, it was a well-written chapter. It didn't fit in with the larger narrative, and
It's
I can
part of
see
another
why
book,
she.
yeah.
I could see why she would want to keep it because like it's good, but yeah, she probably should have cut it. But that's fine. It's not like it's book or even series ruining. I just wanted to point it out because the topic of she can't kill Alton in an image later, and she even brings it up. She's like, "Huh, I've killed him before, but I can't kill him now because he's too happy."
I don't understand how anybody undergoing as much abuse, trauma, both physical and mental, drug addiction, and everything that Rin has gone through could ever be expected to make rational decisions. That's a big part of it. Everything that Rin does that strikes me as a bad call, it makes sense within the context of the book because she doesn't know which way is up at this point. Her life has just been surviving one trauma at a time and
So
trying
you
to buy
get in
enough
the water and you blow an air bubble, and the air goes up. Jesus, everyone knows this.
If you can even say that sentence to me while you're high on opium, I will concede your point.
All right, get me the opium. So let's get back to Viceroy, who orders her to not be high on opium anymore. And
You're no longer addicted to opium. I have ordered it.
yes, I've ordered you. You're not addicted to opium, and we're gonna train you to kill Daji. Daji?
Daji. I
Daji.
think, yeah.
All right, the Empress Daji.
I mean, you're getting my Pennsylvania Chinese here, so
Pennsylvania Chinese.
that is, I'm sure to a Chinese speaker, that is it. That is exactly what I sound like. I know I'm terrible at this.
So at least it's not just me this time, like it is in like every other book.
No, this is one language. Pitch accent is not something I can do.
So here's his plan for ushering in a glorious revolution that will bring in a republic and make Nicara better for everyone. Every man, woman, and child will be able to vote for who they think should be the leader, and it's definitely going to be Viceroy because he's going to order them to vote for him. So
Here's
the
thing. Here's the thing. Viceroy has a vision, right? He has a vision that there should be no more monarchs sitting in their ivory towers decreeing what the people should do. No, we should let the people decide. I have seen a glorious future where an educated working class can research a candidate and make the best decision about the issues that are important to them. There is absolutely no chance that my new political system will devolve into some sort of celebrity popularity contest. Democracy is the way to go.
yeah, Viceroy envisions a world in which people can't accidentally vote a dumbass into power that will ruin them. That's a pretty lofty goal. And he knows that they're not going to vote a dumbass into power because Viceroy is going to be on that ticket. And also, Viceroy will be on that ticket. He'll be both the Democrat, the Republican, the Independent, the Libertarian, and the Green Party. So
Any vote against Viceroy is still a vote for Viceroy.
yeah, he's going to have a totally not suspicious 97% of the vote with a 95% turnout rate and with a 3% margin of error.
Yeah.
Look, how it works is you go up to your booth, right? There's a candidate on there. It's Viceroy. You can check the box and hand it to the poll guy, or you can walk inside the poll booth and add someone else. Yeah, that means they're going to know that you put someone down other than Viceroy, and, like, later on, people might come by your house and, like, you'll disappear. But, like, don't do that. Vote for Viceroy.
I'm going to go ahead and say that
Viceroy isn't maybe on the level.
Well, this is where I need to know more about Chinese history. But I think we have seen in our own lifetimes one of the fundamental weaknesses of democracy is that your democracy is only as intelligent as your constituency. And if your voters don't know what they want and they don't know what they need and they don't know how to figure out what's best for them, then they're going to vote for the wrong thing. I think democracy is stronger when you have a more well-informed, stable, economically stable even, voter base. The Nikara are modeling their, well, the Dragon, Republic would be modeled after some obviously European analog in this world, Hesperian representative republic. And
yeah,
a lot of people
the Dragon
are expressing
province is going to get 57% of the electoral
right.
votes.
But a lot of people are expressing doubts that even if the elections were conducted fairly, that the population of this country is in no way prepared to vote on the issues. You have a literacy rate less than 15%.
Yeah, the whole south of Nicara is like, they're farmers mostly. They don't know much.
They're farmers,
they're looked down
illiterate,
upon by the North, who are significantly more well off and also smarter, and they fuck better. They have better accents.
It's not about smarter, and I wonder if there was some kind of Mandarin Cantonese thing in those accent criticisms. But it's just a case of if 90% of your population can't read, how are they going to inform themselves about the issues to make a good decision?
Because Viceroy will inform them, obviously.
Right.
If you vote for Viceroy, he promises that your life will be better than if you hadn't voted for Viceroy, and by that he means he won't fucking kill you.
I'm saying there's two levels to the allegory here. One is, of course, yes, this is a transparent power grab from this is a transparent power grab.
He's
from
trying
Viceroy.
to help the people, Ben.
I know, Nate. It is a transparent power grab from Viceroy.
He's grabbing power so that he can help people.
The other thing I think Kuang is criticizing with this allegory is the Western notion that every country should be a representative republic, regardless of whether or not that country is utterly different from the West in every way.
Whoa now. Okay. I feel a criticism of the war in Iraq coming on, and
I was going to say more criticism of the wars in Asia. I mean, Korea, Vietnam. Now, obviously that worked out for Korea, South Korea, but now you have North Korea. So there's just a lot of places that aren't maybe ready to have a representative republic, and maybe you should let them have their own culture and their own government and let them evolve without your interference. And that's even the wrong way to put it too, because it makes it sound like the West is on like the higher up on the ladder of progress, whereas it's just branching paths. Democracy has flaws, as we have seen. But I think Kuang is definitely criticizing the West's remaking of the world in its own image, regardless of how dumb an idea that
Hey,
obviously
hey,
is.
hey. That's what the maker wanted. Did you not read any of this book, Ben? That's what the maker wanted, okay? You have to remake the world so that the maker can have a better time keeping the world together.
I did like there's one interesting concession that the Makerist Hesperians make that differs it from Christianity right off the bat. And that is that the Maker is not omnipotent and that he has to battle the forces of chaos and he needs your help. Whereas in Christianity, the world is chaotic because God designed it to be that way for whatever reason we'll never understand. The Hesperians have an actual better reason to try to be colonizing everything. It's at least a more logically consistent reason. It's still presented in the book as bullshit, and Kuang is also very critical of trying to remake every culture's religious beliefs in your own image. Shamans aren't going out to Hesperia to try to convert people. So why are you sending people here to try to convert us? Why don't you just, if Makerism is so great, why don't you just let us come to you?
Because, Ben, people need to be able to see the light. Look, there's a lot of bad propaganda about the Hesperians out there, okay? It may have happened that they may have committed some atrocities, okay? They may have been horrible colonizers in the past. But that was like 50 years ago, man. Or 40 years ago. Or maybe 30. But the point is, Ben, Hesperia is a changed nation, and by changed, I mean shut up. We don't have to change because it's so great.
I will tell you, there were Dune levels of double, triple, and quadruple crossing
Yeah, there
in
were.
this book. Everything anybody says to anyone is a double or triple cross, at least.
So yeah, where were we before we started talking about how democracy is an amazing system that everyone should be involved with, regardless of like your culture? Viceroy, yeah, Viceroy he sees in power for the good of not just Nakara but all of humanity, because he's a humanitarian. And all you have to do, Rin, is after I order you to detox, is retrain your body to just do a little bit of regicide. Just a little bit of just kill the Empress for me, okay? Here's the plan. You're gonna be my prisoner. We're gonna load you up with some opium, even though I just detoxed you. You got some resistance though. You're good. And then, you're gonna get a one-on-one with the Empress because she's a vain woman who will inevitably want to talk with you. Now, she's not going to tell you about how horrible the Hesperians really are. Like, she'll mention it, but she won't show it to you, even though she has that power. She'll wait till the end of the book. But then, when she's done, like, talking to you and giving you no reason to trust her because she already betrayed you, I want you to kill her right there. Just kill her right there. Part 1 of the book, she's gonna die, and then part 2 and 3, we're gonna throw a party. That's how this is gonna go. I'm sure that this will work out well for you. Also, Kite, sorry your dad died. Join up with me. How did I do, Ben? I'm Viceroy. I order you to tell me that I did well.
Viceroy, they manipulated Kite into finding out his dad died.
Whoa. Okay. They just happened to let him go where he could ask someone who would tell him that his dad died and, like, you know, join up. Join up with the cause. It's no big deal.
That was what it took for Kite to realize that even his family had been sold out and that the Empress now had to go. The difference between Kite and Rin here is again important in that Rin is not Again, she's saddled with opium and everything, but Rin is also a very highly educated tactical genius, supposedly. And Kite understands when he decides to go after the Empress that he is committing the country to another war when it's already on the brink of starvation from the first war. And that millions of people are going to die for his revenge. Kite understands that and chooses it anyway, such is the depth of his anger. Rin doesn't seem to understand that. She seems to be buying Viceroy's optimistic nonsense that it'll be over in a couple months.
Yeah.
And everybody's just going to come to my side.
Wars that start between two incredibly large powers typically end a couple months tops. No biggie, dude. We'll have a republic before Christmas, which we don't celebrate.
It would have worked if Rin had been able to assassinate Taji. Spoilers, that doesn't work, which you would obviously have guessed by the fact that we're only about 100 pages into the book at this point.
Yeah.
But even after that, they still keep like, we could clean it up in a couple months. We just need this one guy to defect. And let me tell you what's going to happen for the rest of this book is they just need... It's this game of, well, we can still win if this happens. It's like watching your favorite team lose a football game. And we just need a touchdown.
Well, that's true. That happened
we just
in
need a couple
lot
touchdowns.
Of wars. Yeah. Hitler was so sure, like, oh my God, FDR died. And now, for sure, America is going to come to the table and capitulate. And then we can force Britain to capitulate. And then we can bring all of our power from the West, and we could go fight the Soviet Union, and we could push him back to Moscow, and we're gonna win because FDR is dead. Like, it's gonna happen this time. It's like, I thought that was actually hilariously and tragically realistic.
Well, yeah, because
all we need is a few, like 5 good touchdowns. We've got 20 minutes left on the clock. We can do this.
Yeah. Well, and, FDR had also been president for 15 years or something at that point?
Yeah.
So there was a good reason to think that would be a huge upset. And I remember a lot of people were super mad at FDR for running because he was obviously going to die. And it was obviously going to put us in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, but he's FDR. Democracy, Ben. Democracy. Remember, term limits are really good, but only for the president. Only for the president, okay?
Yeah.
Only for the do not think about term limits for the Senate or the House. Only for the president.
But even then, term limits have their downsides too, because now you wind up in a situation where a country can trust that any treaty you sign is going to be good for about 4 years most. And then the next guy might just get rid of it. Yeah, you can implement policies and you can set the direction of your country for 4 years at a time.
Real quick. I'm not saying that, Joseph Stalin was a great man, or, that people didn't die.
Are you sure you're not saying that? Because this is, the 60th time you've brought up Joseph Stalin. I can't even remember how. You've definitely brought him up on the podcast, on the stream, publicly several times. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe you don't just admire Joseph Stalin a little.
Oh, where the even are we?
Vice was about to have Rin.
He got things
Vice was
done.
about to have Rin try to assassinate Dashi. But yeah, Stalin got things done, kinda.
He got things done. His plan was to industrialize the Soviet Union, and he did that. Did you see all those factories? It lasted at least the length of his lifetime, but actually several successors. This is the problem with mortality, Ben. We can't have Joseph Stalin forever.
The Dragon Republic really does make you think about how ludicrous it ever was for humanity to hope for a better future.
Oh gosh.
Put that
Well,
on the book jacket.
But yeah, let's go back to that assassination. Daji easily defeats Rin, like effortlessly defeats Rin, and then
And
she
makes a
looks
lot
at
of good points.
yeah, but she doesn't show her. Like at the end of the book, she shows her, and it's like, oh, Daji
So-
wasn't the greatest evil that could happen to Nikara, and maybe Rin is fighting for the wrong side. Right now,
You
she's
make-
just like, I'm just gonna eliminate you.
You make a really good point, actually, and I read the book rather quickly, and so I didn't really put that together. But yeah, this is definitely a case of maybe we should just sit down and talk for 5 minutes about why I do the things I do and why you do the things you do. And if you understood why I do the things I do, you might want to change some of the things you're doing. For example, I have vivid memories of atrocities committed by the Hesperians, and your new republic is heavily reliant, laughably reliant on Hesperian aid. And you are essentially setting up a Hesperian puppet state for a group of people that thinks you are racially inferior to them, and they want to change you. They want to fix you.
Or if they can't fix you, they want to get rid of you.
Yeah. So maybe don't invite the genocidal eugenics
Yeah.
race into your country.
Yeah, okay, fine. I brought in Mugen, and that was a bad idea, but my plan was I couldn't beat them, and so I needed to buy time. And it sucks that a bunch of people had to die, but I think that I was saving more people by doing it that way in the long run, and eventually I would have killed their leader and cut the proverbial head off the snake, and then we could have thrown them back. They didn't have the power to completely take us over or wipe us out, and we would just get gradually more powerful as they would get gradually weaker.
But
So,
you were going
like-
to sacrifice me in Alton.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a soldier. I hate to break this to you. Soldiers are ordered to basically go die all the time. All the time. I would argue that's one of the things in your job description. You're going to fight here, and you might die.
Fire blast.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, well, again, she doesn't tell her this. She's just like, hey, you need to trust me because Hesperia, bad people. And yeah, I betrayed Alton. But she doesn't really, she could show her. She has the power to literally show Rin, here's what my childhood was like. You don't remember because you weren't born, but being under Hesperia sucked. So much harder than anything you've experienced, which is saying something because you've experienced some pretty heavy shit. And, if I'm deposed and your new BFF, Daddy Viceroy, if he gets in power, he's gonna invite them back, and then we're gonna get fucked again.
But there's double cross waiting within that story as well.
There's so many.
Yeah, because okay, let's count the genocides here.
Good
So,
God.
the Hesperians genocided, or the Hesperians abused the Nikarans The Muganese abused the Nikarans. The Nikarans abused the Spearleys and the Hinterlanders. And now the Hesperians are going to abuse the Nikarans again. It's, again, the Dragon Republic points out how ludicrous it ever was to think that humanity could progress.
Yeah, but...
Because everyone is awful all the time.
Yeah, but also, they didn't have a sweet iPod. Maybe that's what they needed, Ben. They didn't have words about books.
I don't think the guy in the iPod factory is that happy about having an iPod.
I don't give a shit
I don't
about
even
him.
think he has an iPod.
Yeah. Maybe you should get one. They're pretty nice.
I don't even think they make iPods anymore.
I don't know. Look, my point is, Ben, Rin just needed to listen to some good words about books.
I'm pretty sure Rin would have just burned us to the ground.
So yeah, Rin gets the Phoenix gets bit by Daji's god, which is I can't remember the name of it. It's a big viper. That's why she's called the Vipress. It bites it, it beats it, and then Rin is only saved by Chagan, who manages to intervene in some way with some wards, and then the whole palace explodes. They manage to grab Viceroy, pull him out, and then Viceroy's like, well, guess we're going to war after all.
We just need Solin to be on our side, and then we can win.
Yeah, at this whole time he's courting other warlords, one of whom is June, that jackass from the first book. But yeah, he's courting warlords. He gets the 3 southern warlords who have like the weakest, crappiest armies and the worst economies, but he wants Solin, his old master, the Snake Warlord. And he's like 100% sure that he's going to join his side because he basically forces his hand and he sails his ships right through Solin's fleet. And so Solin is branded as a traitor and is forced to join up. So that is the first
I'm
part
sure there is
of
not,
the Dragon Republic.
There is not a double cross lurking within that anywhere.
Absolutely not. Look, Visor is a man that people respect and want to follow forever. He's got a vision, Ben. He's got a vision. And we're going to learn more about that next time when we get into a bloody civil war that Rin essentially started and then does not want to be a commander in at all. Any closing thoughts? Other than, like, you're depressed and you think that humanity sucks and we're never going to get better?
I'm not depressed by that.
Sorry.
I accepted that a
depressing.
long time ago. No, I think the sooner you get over that delusion, the better. I think that's when you can really be at peace with it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Politically, nothing is ever going to get better. That's what this book teaches us, and I don't think that is the wrong lesson.
All right. So, Ben, take us home. We're going to continue to talk about this next week and talk about the coffee and the Twitters.
So yeah, we will continue our discussion of the Dragon Republic with part 2 of the book and part 2 of the episode next week. After that, we are reading... Do you know?
Nothing to See Here.
Nothing to See Here by
Kevin Wilson.
Kevin Wilson.
You need to get on that.
Renowned author.
It's a good book.
Kevin Wilson. I have like 3 things I need to read for the podcast before I can start that.
Like what?
But the next book club book, I have to read the Stupid Aliens book. I got to read Boneyard Soup. Then I got to read that.
Yeah, but Nothing to See Here. Like, do that anyway. Drop everything you're doing. Go do that.
So, yeah, Nothing to See Here by Kevin J. Anderson is the next book. Oh god! Just insert the right book.
Nah, I'm keeping that one in.
And sorry, I just thought of like what would Nothing to See Here by Kevin J. Anderson be? What would that book be
Horrible.
about?
Nothing to see here. It's just his entire book collection. Boom!
Dunk. Yeah, but you can check us out on Twitter at WAB Pod. You can check us out on Facebook somewhere. You can visit our blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. We are streaming on Twitch. But yeah, you check us out on Twitter at WAB Pod. You can check out the blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. If you would like to support the show financially, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/WAB Pod. You can do something else with your life. I'm done. I don't have anything else to say.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Next time on Words About Books. So yeah, they have victory after victory after victory. The Muganese are there as well. They kill that guy. Oh yeah, there's also some, like, Rin uses a baby as a hostage. I was not about that. As I have a
Okay.
baby.
Oh my god. I know. Oh god. The kid has a baby, and now no one can use a baby as a hostage. Jesus Christ.
He explored a cave as a kid, and his kid brother was eaten, and that bothered me because his kid brother was a
Oh my
little
god.
apple-cheeked kid, and like, not cool, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ. When are these baby hormones gonna wear off?
In 18 years, possibly 15. I don't know.
It's gonna be really hard to do Ben's Horror Bullshit Month if I have to keep avoiding books where infants die. I'm gonna try to find a
I
book
wanna
about
do
a
that.
werewolf that eats only babies.